No, you're good. You're good.
You're good. Hey, well, what's up?
So you're an All-Star now. Can you just take me through when you found out that was going to be a thing and how you were feeling?
Yeah, Carlos had came up to me, congratulated me. I think it's, for me on a personal note, man, I was just fortunate to be back on the field after a long injury and now to be able to play an All-Star game. Just thank God, thank my family, all my friends that have been through me on this long road that I've had in such a long and short career. But it's very fortunate to be able to play a game, especially against guys that you watch on TV and your idols. So it'd definitely be a difficult game for us, but very fortunate and exciting to be in a game like that.
So you and Miguel voted by the fans, though. What does that say about this program and kind of what you guys are doing?
I think that says Atlanta United is pretty darn popular. You had a lot of guys that were up there as well on the list, and defenders as well. You had Landra that was close, Joseph, Yamil, those guys were pretty close. So, I think Atlanta made the step in the right direction to bring the team here, and we have so many people in the stands that definitely helps.
How are you handling this off week? You guys, this is the first big week in several weeks. You haven't had any activity, plus coming off to 2 matches in a week. Just physically and mentally, you're still practicing, but how are you just balancing getting your rest and also being ready for your next match?
Yeah, I think it serves as a time to kind of not click off completely, but just to get away from probably some of the stress that comes during the season and kind of think about tactically and more maybe a bit physically ways to keep in shape as much as possible, and then turn the brain on as much as possible next Monday so we can be fit and mentally healthy enough for the 2 Orlando games.
Just having kind of a lot of experience now at the youth level, especially internationally, how can you kind of relate to what Andrew Carlton's going through, and is there any words that you could offer him as he further develops?
I wish I was in his shoes when I was 16 years old, man, playing against U16s, and looks like he's playing against 9-year-olds. But yeah, man, sky's the limit for those kids. I think Andrew and Chris, of what I've seen them play, I saw their Nike friendlies. I played in a couple Nike friendlies with the national team and did the exact same process they're doing and had the exact same coach. So, John Hackworth is an amazing guy. He taught me a lot when I was there. Taught me to be the hard worker I am. And I'm sure he's doing the same with those guys to keep their heads straight. But I think the sky's the limit. I think from what I've seen them play, I think it's probably the best U17 team U.S. has probably ever had. So I know they have a hard group in their World Cup in October, right? So I wish them the best, and I hope they can put the U.S. up there.
We've seen several times, maybe just because going on the website or just in general, seeing you with a lot of younger players with the United. Is that a mentorship? Is that something that you've always been involved with looking at younger players? And is that something you see maybe in the future, being involved in when the playing days have concluded?
I want to be as far away from this field as possible after I finished. No, I'm just kidding. I was probably one of those guys when I was young. I was always with the older guys that were about to retire. I don't know why. I just kind of saw those guys. I've always been a pretty mature kind of person, but a jokester on the field. But I've always been one of those guys that experience for me is probably the most important thing in soccer. The more experience you are, the better you can get through games week in, week out. The better you can play. I think experience for me is probably the best attribute you can have as a soccer player. So I think for us guys that have been around international level, been around quite a few games in a professional level, for those guys to look up at us and see that they're going to be in our shoes in pretty short period of time. It's pretty cool to see them grow and really become better professionals each and every day. I think a wonderful example is, even though he's 23 years old, is Julian. Julian came from a college level and into pro level and has shown the world he can play. So I think that those kind of guys you see, as I said before, the sky's the limit for Chris and Andrew and Miles and all those guys. That the talent is there. I'm sure they'll get their opportunity, and when they can, I'm sure they'll make the best of it.
Obviously, you have the game, but what are you most looking forward to the experience in Chicago?
For me, is a huge stepping stone for bigger things. I think that from my story, my particular story, I couldn't be in a better place right now. I have my wife to thank, my family to thank. those are the people that have always been beside me and been behind my back in my worst times and my best times in my career. It's been a huge roller coaster, and as I said, you're playing against a team that you see you've seen guys when you were 12, 13, 14 years old that you go up. I mean, I went up through the same academy as Cristiano Ronaldo did for about 4 years of my career. So now to train 4 years of those youth level years and reserve team, going through a baseline of what he did, I mean, pretty much the baseline at Sporting was exactly how he trained to get us on his level, even though we were far from it. But it's pretty cool to see now that you have the chance to play against guys like that. I think for me, in playing in Mexico and Copa Libertadores, I got to play against Ronaldinho a couple of times. I mean, I was a 9-10-year-old kid wearing his cleats, and then 13 years later, I was playing alongside him as well against him. So it's a huge stepping stone, and also you're very fortunate to be in those shoes.
What can y'all, we're at the midway point. What can y'all take from the first half of the season going into the second half?
I think I've said this every interview, man. This league is a roller coaster. I mean, last place team can be the first place team 4-0, and then back and forth. It doesn't really matter what happens. This is a crazy league. You never know. Anybody can be a champion. So I think that we have a pretty good point average of where we stand right now, and hopefully we can double that to get ourselves in the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing. In Mexico, they always said the very first thing and the most important thing is just to make the playoffs, not what position you make in the table, because the playoffs is a completely different tournament. I think now that we're stepping in a second stage of the league, I think we definitely have to think that the most important thing is to get our right foot in as quickly as possible and into the playoffs, and after that, I think it's a whole completely different tournament.
But as a team and as a unit, y'all watched film, y'all seen mistakes, y'all saw where concentration is, drop and pick back up. Have y'all kind of go over that during this week and during this time, getting prepared to go back to the second half?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a team that's been together for only 5-6 months. So I mean, the chemistry is obviously still growing. I think we've done a pretty good job with. I mean, Tata has been doing a wonderful job with keeping us as close as possible, and I think this is definitely a week and last week to kind of click off, but this week is to get our bond as strong as possible again and get everything close and sturdy, and then after that, hopefully have a good second rest of the season.
So you do the tattoos? The new tattoos?
Yeah, I got my one of my firstborn, and then secondborn is added on too. I have to find places on my body to put his face when he grows up. So it's getting pretty cool, man.
Anything else for Greg?